I think they have evidence. They know it. Israel knows it. Look, freeze the $6 billion. But let's be clear about something. The $6 billion had nothing to do with this attack. And I served with Tim Scott. It makes me so sad, Dan, to see some of my former colleagues say that Joe Biden's got blood on his hands. That's just despicable. Biden has been very strong standing with Israel.
Thane, do you agree?
No.
What?
I don't think he has blood on his hands, but I think the messaging during the Biden administration is back to where we were with President Obama, which is let's provide conciliatory gestures to Iran. Let's find a way to create alliances with them as a bulwark against China and Russia. Let's have friendly disposition. And that has never worked in the Islamic world.
But do you connect that to what's happening here, or do you just think it's bad policy?
Well, it's bad policy, and it does connect. It's not clear to me that, well, we know that Hamas is trained by Iran, in addition to receiving financial support. But also it requires, you know, let's use the right word for this occasion, chutzpah, right? The idea that the audacity of this act to think that Iran was somehow helping to plan this, I'm not sure they would have considered this if they were back with the sanctions relief that they didn't have, the funding that they didn't have, just the basic understanding that we're trying to cripple your economy instead of returning funds and trying to find other ways to get back into the Iran deal.
Well, I mean, I think there's some nuances about this. And when the news came out that Iran had, quote unquote, green lighted this attack, the words and the semantics, I mean, exactly what happened and understanding what happened will be very important in defining exactly how the U.S. and Israel respond. If, in fact, it was just green lighting, that's not unheard of. That's how these proxies work. They have to go to their Iran mafia boss to then get the green light to pursue whatever attack it is they want. But if Iran was involved in the planning and executing of the attack itself, it changes how Israel and the U.S. will respond. And that's fair. But that, by the way, I agree. The thing that makes me a little bit uncomfortable coming from the administration is when they say that there's no evidence of that, it's murky. And the reason is, a part of me wants to tell them, okay, well, keep hunting. But also, Hamas had to have been preparing for this for a while. They had to have been requesting a lot of funds, a lot of equipment. Getting that equipment is not easy. It is smuggled and dropped off on the Mediterranean shores of the Gaza, and it is smuggled through tunnels. So Iran had to have known that there was some massive increase in equipment.
We all agree Iran's behind this. They're the enemy. But let's understand why. Iran is pushing back against the fact that Israel is developing relations with moderate Arab countries, a process that Trump started and Biden has continued. Iran wants to stop that.
So let me play. This is Nikki Haley on Sunday talking about comments that were made by Anthony Blinken, where he said none of the funds were connected to this attack.
I actually think it was irresponsible for Secretary Blinken to say that the $6 billion doesn't weigh in here. I mean, let's be honest with the American people and understand that Hamas knows and Iran knows they're moving money around as we speak because they know $6 billion is going to be released. That's the reality.
The argument basically goes, the $6 billion, yes, it wasn't used. Yes, that would go to humanitarian aid. But if they know they now have additional $6 billion to use, they can spend it on terrorism.
You know, I've seen this talking point a lot. It's like the Republicans all shared this talking point that money is fungible. Oftentimes, money is fungible. But the fact is that that's not how the Iranian government works when it comes to spending on its balance sheet. It spends the majority of its funds in supporting terrorist objectives across the Middle East. I worked in counter-terrorist financing at the Treasury Department. I remember this very clearly. They don't spend on humanitarian goods for their people. They don't have medicine. Their shelves are empty. They don't spend on food or water. It is a constant complaint of those who protest in Iran is that they know that their government is spending what little money they have to support terrorist objectives. So the reason I argue that money is not fungible in this case is because it doesn't free up funding. They don't spend on humanitarian aid to begin with.
Hagar, it represents a green light. It may not be a direct traceable connection to what happened in Israel, but it sends a message to Iran. We might not respond in the most aggressive terms, that we're still open to having some diplomatic channel with you, and you have no reason to fear us.
You know,
instead of saying, no, you have everything to fear. And let me just say one thing about this. People forget how incompetent Hamas has been.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.